Okay, we need to talk about JPMorgan. Specifically, we need to talk about the most unhinged lawsuit ever. So this guy files a lawsuit against his former JPMorgan boss saying that she made him her sex slave, drugged him with roofies and Viagra, called his wife a fish head, called him her little brown boy toy, and then asked for $12 million. So at first all the girlies here are mad. We are ready to take down another dirty Wall Street monster. I mean, guys have a right to me too as well, right? But when we look into it, some things just didn't really add up. Okay? So we got so much to get through today, okay? So welcome back. Hey everyone, it's Davina and welcome back to Dirty Laundry. Today is going to be a journey. This story has 14 plot twists in 8 days and I'm here for all of it. But all right, we are going to react because some of this stuff is just bizarre, okay? Let's just get into it. First up, we got Miss Lorna Hajini, 37-year-old boss lady, executive director at JPMorgan Chase's leveraged finance division. It's high status, high pressure, high bonus work, and people describe her as a top performer. And up until about 2 weeks ago, she had a normal LinkedIn. But now, she doesn't have a LinkedIn at all. Then we have Chirayu Rana, 35-year-old Indian American, married, senior VP. The resume goes Rutgers Business School, then Credit Suisse, then Carlyle Group, then Morgan Stanley Investment Management, and then JPMorgan in March of 2024. He then leaves JPMorgan and ends up as a principal at a private equity firm called Bregel Sagemount up until April 2nd of this year, when he leaves Bregel Sagemount. 3 weeks later, he files a lawsuit. So, guys, are you ready for the face card reveal? Now, okay, let's take a look at this. Okay, hold up. Hold up here, guys. Which girly is willing to risk her entire career and an embarrassing public lawsuit for this? For this. Holy smokes, girl, you are in Manhattan. You have got to find some better options than this butterface, right? I mean, come on here now. There's plenty of fish in the sea. Whatever. Some people's tastes are just questionable, But all right. Now, both of them are on the same JPMorgan team for a while in 2024. But Rana doesn't actually report to Hajini. He reports to a guy named John Walter. She doesn't write his review. She doesn't control his bonus. They're senior co-workers and junior co-worker, not boss and employee relationships. But then on April 27th, 2026, a lawsuit gets filed in New York County Supreme Court. And the allegations are, okay, I'm going to have to read this because there's just no way to paraphrase this. Rana alleges that starting spring 2024, Hajini sexually harassed him, drugged him with roofies and Viagra, forced him into non-consensual sex acts multiple times over months, threatened his career to keep him quiet. And the names she allegedly called him were my little brown boy Indian, boy toy, little Arab boy toy. Okay, I love this little racist role-playing thing that they got here. Whatever floats your boat, lady. According to the complaint, during one of these alleged encounters, Hajini, quote, removed her shirt, began fondling her breasts, and allegedly said, I bet your little Asian fish head wife doesn't have these cannons. Cannons. Cannons? Cannons is what your friend's older brother called boobs in 2003. Cannons is 40-year-old virgin talk. Who said cannons in real life since the Bush administration, okay? No one. and fish head. Fish head. Like, babe, okay, us Asians are always racist a little bit to other Asians because everyone hates each other and we call each other's names. But fish head, that's a new one. I have not heard that one before. Props for creativity. The lawsuit also claims that during the same encounter, when he started crying, she said, quote, "Stop fucking crying. You think anyone would ever believe you? You're a fucking douchebag who thinks he's hot shit, but you can't even get your dick hard for me." She also allegedly said at the office, "Birthday BJ for the brown boy, my little brown boy." And that's like by the espresso machine. And then apparently she also said, "Do you want a future at JPMorgan?" while allegedly pressuring him for sex acts. Damages requested, $11.75 million. The lawsuit drops April 27th. And for about 72 hours, the narrative is locked in. Senior executives abused junior employee. JPMorgan covered it up. Another Wall Street horror story. And Lorna Hagini's LinkedIn, gone. The internet identifies her, started a hate train, sends messages, threatens her, the whole 9 yards. And her face is everywhere. And then, on April 30th, JPMorgan releases a statement through their spokesperson. Quote, "Following an investigation, we don't believe that there is any merit to these claims. While numerous employees cooperated with the investigations, the complainant refused to participate and has declined to provide facts that would be central to support his allegations." I mean, translation? We looked into it and found nothing. And the guy alleging it wouldn't talk to us. Which is usually when you're the one making these allegations, you want to talk, you want to bring receipts. He apparently did not bring the receipt. Hagini's lawyer also issued a statement. Quote, "Lorna categorically denies the allegations. She never engaged in any inappropriate conduct with this individual of any kind and has never even been to the location where the alleged sexual assault supposedly took place." I mean, she has never even been to the location. That's very specific. That's not just denial. That's not, this didn't happen the way he says. That's basically saying, I have never even set foot in the building, which, if true, is a problem for the lawsuit. Because you can't sexually assault someone in a building you have never been to. But still, at this point, it's just denials. He said, she says, whatever. Companies always deny, defendants always deny. And so the internet says, yeah, sure, JPMorgan, sure. Of course you're saying that. Big banks always covering up for themselves to just screw over the poor little guy, right? But then the good old New York Post starts digging. And look, the Post is like the Post, but they are good at this. The Post is good at finding these little things, and they start finding massive truth bombs. First, the Post reports that Rana has filed an internal complaint at JPMorgan about all of this back in May 2025, almost a year before the public lawsuit. The bank investigated, found nothing. Sources told the Post that Rana then tried to negotiate a settlement worth, quote, millions of dollars to leave the company in March of 2025. Then JPMorgan offered Rana $1 million to settle and just walk away, forget about it. He turned it down. Then a few weeks later, he just filed the $11.75 million lawsuit. So now look, sometimes companies offer settlements just to make a headache go away, even when they think the claim has no merit. $1 million to JPMorgan is like what they spend on coffee in a day. So the offer alone doesn't prove anything. But it's part of the picture starting to form. And the picture being, this dispute has been simmering internally for almost a year. The bank kept saying, we found nothing. And Rana kept escalating. I mean, so far, Rana is looking like a victim here. But then the Post drops the dad story. Now, in late 2024, Rana told JPMorgan his father was very, very sick. The bank let him work from home. In November 2024, he allegedly told the bank that his father had died. He took bereavement leave. He took multiple kinds of leave from March 2025 through May of 2025, almost 3 months of paid leave. Now, according to the Post, he sent the bank's legal team a draft of his sexual harassment complaint during that leave. The Post then called the dad to verify. The dad picked up the phone. So, wait, his dad's alive? His dad's name is Chirayu Rana, and he's living in Virginia. He is, quote, alive and well. Those are the Post's words, and he told them he didn't know anything about a lawsuit, hadn't heard about any of it, found out his son had filed a massive sexual harassment lawsuit from the New York Post reporter calling him to ask about it. Now, imagine this for a second. Just imagine. If you're his dad and you're sitting in Virginia, you're maybe having some tea, maybe you're watching TV, and then the phone rings. It's the New York tabloid, and they go, "Hey, sir, just wanted to ask you about the lawsuit that your son filed. Also, quick question, are you alive?" And you go, "Yes, why?" And they go, "Great, because your son told his employer that you weren't." I mean, like, what is happening here? Your son has basically told everyone that you died, took 3 months of paid bereavement leave, and allegedly used it to draft an $11.75 million lawsuit, and you found out about all of it from a reporter? You found out basically you're dead from a reporter? Now, to be fair, Rana has not, to my knowledge, directly addressed this allegation yet. His lawyer hasn't responded to requests for comments about the dad thing specifically. So there may be context. Maybe his dad was very, very sick. Maybe there was a misunderstanding about what exactly was communicated to the bank and when. We don't know his side of this specific allegation. But on its face, based on what has been reported, this is this is a vibe. It's a vibe that is hard to come back from. When the New York Post is publishing, "Hey, we called your dad and he's alive." I mean, that's a sentence that ends careers. Okay, so we're still not done here, because then the Post finds something else. Something even weirder. Something that, okay, this makes me like a little weary when it comes to internet privacy and data, but they find a transcript on a website called askalawyeroncall.com, which is, and I cannot stress this enough, a legal advice chatbot. Like, you go on this website, you type in a problem, and an AI bot tells you what your options are. And now this transcript is from July 2024, 10 months before the lawsuit, public facing. And on this website, the user is identified as Chirayu Rana. He writes, and again, this is what is published in the Post with screenshots, quote, "I was raped, sexually assaulted, harassed, and forced to do drugs by my former boss at Morgan Stanley." Okay, hold up. Wait. Morgan Stanley. Morgan Stanley is a different bank. He worked there briefly years before JPMorgan. But this lawsuit is about JPMorgan. And here, look at this next part here, all right? He says, quote, "I was sexually assaulted and harassed by my former boss, and he even forced me to do drugs." He said he. The chat box conversation is about a male boss at Morgan Stanley. This lawsuit is about a female executive at JPMorgan. These are not the same allegations. They are not the same person. There's a different gender, a different company, a different time frame. And then the chatbot exchange gets even more wild. This lawyer, which is a chatbot, which, by the way, if you're an exec at JPMorgan, like, Don't they pay you enough to just hire a real lawyer if you really have a serious case with any merit? Like, why are you consulting a chatbot like a broke frat bro? Like, seriously, you have the money, supposedly. Anyways, the chatbot asks him about the timeline, and Rana references something happening in 2020. The chatbot, with the level of legal acumen that you would expect from a bot named Joyce Law, said something like, since this happened in 2020, you might still have options. Have you considered filing a workers' comp claim? And he goes, I didn't think about that. I just feel stuck because I signed that waiver. Everyone seems to refuse to help me because of it. Then he asks, do you think I actually have a valid claim? And do you know anyone who might take my case? Like, okay. I want to be very fair here. There's no proof in the public reporting that it's definitely him versus an impersonator or something. The post reports the user as self-identified as Chirayu Rana on the platform. That's what's there. We will see what comes out as the case proceeds, but assuming for one moment that this is him and the reporting is treating it as if it is, we have a very strange picture forming. We have someone who 10 months before filing a lawsuit against a female executive at JPMorgan was publicly typing into a chatbot asking about a lawsuit against a male executive at Morgan Stanley. And the lawsuit hasn't been filed against the Morgan Stanley guy. The lawsuit got filed against Hajini. So either he had a real prior abuse situation at Morgan Stanley that he never pursued, or he was just workshopping. He was rehearsing the script. He was trying to figure out if these allegations would work. And then 10 months later, he changed the names and the company and filed it. So I don't know which is which. But basically, if you're going to commit fraud, do not do it on a public-facing legal chatbot website that anyone can read. I mean, I know Rutgers is not an Ivy League, but come on. Thought you were finance guys who are supposed to be smart. Like, I'm going to have to start reevaluating my dating options here because the finance bros just lack common sense sometimes. So at this point, the lawsuit gets quietly redacted, pulled for corrections. The Post is publishing Dad Still Alive stories and chatbot stories, and the case is hemorrhaging credibility by the hour. So Rana refiles with new evidence, new witnesses. Now, the first witness is anonymous, described as a family friend visiting New York City, and he was sleeping on a couch in someone's apartment. And now, according to his affidavit, he was woken up in the middle of the night by Hajini's drunken antics. And so he goes back to sleep, or tries to. He then, quote, a completely naked Hajini wakes him up by sitting on the couch where he was sleeping, lighting up a cigarette, and begging him to come join her and Rana for a threesome. When he refuses, she allegedly says, you know I own redacted, so you better come join. I own redacted. Like, what is this redacted? The bank, the apartment, the cigarettes? Like, what does she own? The friend then goes back to sleep. And again, he has been woken up twice. Once by the antics, once by the naked threesome invitation, and he goes back to bed. Like, bruh, get a hotel room. Like, there's a Marriott somewhere. Call an Uber. Like, you guys are bankers here. I do not understand. Why are all of you guys acting like poor 20-year-olds? Like, are they paying you enough? Are you okay? Is New York City that expensive? Like, and then later he wakes up and Rana is in distress, telling him Hajini, quote, constantly harassed him and forced him to engage in sexual behavior with her on a number of occasions. Friends also said that he saw Hajini being handsy with Rana at a concert at Barclays Center earlier that month. Now the second witness, the apartment owner. Allegedly, he saw Hajini and Rana on the street, Hajini kissing Rana's neck summer of 2024. And in September of 2024, he allegedly overheard them entering her apartment building where Hajini supposedly said something that sounded like, "I own you, Brownie." Okay, who talks like that in a lobby in Manhattan? Like there's a doorman standing right there and you're calling him a brownie. Okay, whatever. Both affidavits were signed in July of 2025, and according to records, they exist. They're sworn, but their evidentiary weight is, well, that's for the court to figure out. Okay, now, since he's pulling up receipts, our girl Hajini has also got some too, from none other than Rana's own acquaintances. They have spoken to media or posted on social media and said that Chirayu Rana may not actually have a wife. Like, may not be married at all. Ever. So one acquaintance quoted in multiple outlets and, quote, "Apparently, the guy doesn't even have a wife and he wears a fake wedding ring." Okay, a fake wedding ring. Who does that? Like, that's serious psycho shit right there. Reporters have looked, and there is no public marriage record, no publicly identified spouse, no spouse on any social media. The wife referenced throughout the lawsuit, this wife that Hajini allegedly insulted as fish head with no cannons, there is no evidence that she even exists. So now, if the wife is also fictional, then we have a dude who basically faked his daddy's death, faked his harassment claims, rehearsed the wrong version of his harassment claims on a public chatbot 10 months earlier, and then invented an entire wife to be the victim of racial slurs that had never happened. So, like, this is not a lawsuit anymore. This is a novel, like pure Delulu fantasy that he made up in his own head. Like, dude, what happened to you? Like, did you ask her out and she rejected you or something? And this is your twisted payback? I mean, okay, the reality is, if you remove the wife from the equation, several of the most damning quoted lines in the lawsuit don't even have a target anymore. There's nobody for Hajini to allegedly compare cannons. There's nobody for her to allegedly compare to a fish head. These quotes were the most vivid quotes of this case. They were memes. So without a wife, like, they become what? Made up insults about a made up person? Like, babe, like, what are we doing here? Okay. Now, last summer, 2025, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office opened a criminal investigation into Rana's allegations against Hajini. And now sources told the Post about this. This was real. Prosecutors looked into it. They escalated it to the DA's office, but then they just closed the case. No charges, no criminal wrongdoing found. They just closed it. Rana's own attorney, Daniel Kaiser, confirmed that on May 5th that the DA's office had closed the investigation. But here's the wild part. While the DA was investigating, they referred Rana to victim services for mental health support. Standard practice. I mean, if someone says that they're a victim of a crime, prosecutors connect them to counselors. It doesn't mean that prosecutors actually believe them. It means that they have a process. But Rana then took that referral and put it into his court filings as evidence. Quote from his affidavit, the DA investigations and victim services referrals show that, quote, independent third-party institutional engagement with me as a victim predated by months the filing of this action. Like, babe, they engaged with you as a victim because you said you were a victim. That's how the system works. You filed a complaint, they assign a counselor, you get the services. They are not vouching for you. They are processing an intake form. Independent third-party institutional engagement with me as a victim is like, that's some grade A legal vibing bullshit there. The DA didn't validate your story. The DA opened a file, looked at it, and closed it because they couldn't substantiate it. The victim services referral is not a verdict. It's a customer service ticket. Now, here is how cooked this story has become. Polymarket, the betting site, has open markets right now on basically every aspect of Chirayu Rana's life. Like, we got one that says, will Chirayu Rana be sued by May 31st? Currently, it's trading at 73% yes. That's $242,000 of real money betting on whether he himself gets sued back. People genuinely think a defamation countersuit is coming. And then we have another one here that's like, was he fired or did he resign from Bregel Sagemount? The market here is genuinely split. You got 51% saying not fired, 49% saying he got fired. Nobody knows. Bregel Sagemount has refused to clarify, and Rana hasn't said anything himself. So Wall Street is literally betting on whether his entire life is a fabrication, and like with real money, in real time as we speak. So when prediction markets become a Greek chorus narrating your downfall, things have gone very, very, very badly for you. Now, the civil case is technically still alive in the New York courts. It will probably proceed to discovery, and things will get sorted out under oath. But the bottom line is, a junior banker tried to extort his employer for $11.75 million using fabricated sexual abuse claims. He weaponized real, vital conversations about workplace harassment for personal financial gain. He then destroyed a senior woman's reputation in the process, and she may never get her reputation back. And every actual victim of workplace sexual abuse just had their job get a little bit harder, because the next time someone comes forward, they're going to say, well, remember that JPMorgan thing? As for Hajini, well, she's still at JPMorgan, continuing to work, while the internet still has her face on every fishhead meme. Meanwhile, Rana himself is out of a job, lawsuit is pending, and on the wrong end of every prediction market in the world. So he's gone quiet for now, which, based on what's been reported in the last few weeks, is honestly his smartest move yet. So anyways, that's where we're at for now. So hit subscribe for more dirty laundry and stay up to date on all the juicy tidbits. So until then, please, for the love of God, if you're going to file a major lawsuit, do not type a draft version of it into a public legal chatbot 10 months earlier. Like, geez, if you're going to try to con and grift your employer for millions and millions of dollars, be smart about it. There are drug dealers and hustlers who are smarter and savvier than Mr. Rana here.